Welcome to the apex of sports ownership, the Apex Athletic Collective.
Welcome in everyone to episode 98 of Instigate Success. I'm your host as always, Jake Schoen, aka Jakeymuffins here, the official Hoosier State Instigators podcast. Crazy that we are at episode 98, only 2 weeks away from episode 100. That will put us at the century mark. We'll have to do something special for that one, but we're looking forward to that. Not to jump too far ahead though, as we do have some cool stuff to cover tonight. We were off last week, so we'll jump into that as far as why we were off last week. I will also say the timing of this with tonight's episode. We're always here Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, but tonight especially, we are going head to head. I didn't realize this until today. But the Papa Shot National Championship is actually live right now over on ESPN 8 The Ocho. So free promotion for that. I know that was something we mentioned as far as the Papa Shot Championship and tryouts or qualifiers or whatever. On the stream before. Something I'm going to have to keep an eye on. And if we see who winds up winning that, what the score is or whatever, we will share that throughout. I think Brad Johnson, the former NFL quarterback, is one of the finalists in contention. He was added, I think, as like a celebrity finalist. But all of the scores, just in case you're wondering, for the qualifiers over 100. So that's the bare minimum mark. Obviously they're over that, but that is the bare minimum, I'd say, to set a goal for Trouts for next year. So, hopefully keep more of an eye on that, and I can see when they have some more qualifiers next year. Maybe we'll get some instigators out for some of those as well. But a cool thing happening there, and always fun to watch the Ocho whenever that rolls around on ESPN. So that's actually in Orlando. I think that's not too far. I think they're, if I'm not mistaken, at the Disney ESPN studios. So little over an hour from where I am here currently, so not too far away if we do qualify for next year's championship. But anyways, let's jump into why we were off last week. So Corey mentioned he would be off this week. He's got some stuff this week, so I don't believe we'll have amateur night tomorrow either. But we do plan on him being back next week. Last week, neither one of us were available. Both of us had an event to help run in Indianapolis. So we had that. Let's pull up the announcement. Race day. So we had this running throughout the last month or so. And actually, happy August. It's August now, August 1st. But the last month or so throughout July, we've had votes going with the fans to help decide how for the instigators to be involved with the race, the ARCA race at IRP, Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. That track it's less than an hour away from the facility, maybe 40 or so minutes from our home venue in Fishers, the Best Choice Fieldhouse. So it's a local track. The first time we sponsored somebody, had our logo on the race car at a local track, somewhere that was basically, a home track for the instigators, and it was a lot of fun. We wanted to have the fans involved with that whole process, so we opened stuff up, and we started off with the logo vote. And then once we had the logo voted, then we did the spot where to vote on the car. So actually, let's jump back to that first. So we had the 4 logos, and we had this vote over on the Patreon. Which again, thank you for everyone who is a member onto Patreon. I think we're at 144 right now, still a little bit short of that 150 mark. Like I said, we'll have to make some kind of graphic once we finally hit that. But we had these 4 logos to choose from, 2 of the more traditional Instigators logos that you will see. And as always, thank you to 2Z for the wonderful Instigators logo design that's featured on all of these, as well as anything we have with the actual logo for the Instigators. And then, first 2 have our scripts as well. And then the third one was with the Hoosier State, the actual state of Indiana with the basket at the top. And then we've got the um, university style logo over on the option 4. So had 4 pretty cool options there. Again, 2 are more traditional stuff that you normally see with the Instigators and a lot of our branding. 3 and 4 were logos that we brought back, that we've used in some of our earlier graphics and promotions. Just kind of cool logo designs that we've seen, and wanted to see if fans wanted us to reintroduce those as far as putting that back on the core. And what we found was the fans wanted that number 3 logo, the Hoosier State logo with the state and the basket in it. And that one won pretty handedly. Over 50% of the votes did go to that. So that locked it into the spot as far as the logo goes on the car. So that was the winner for that vote. And that was the first round of votes. Then we had another vote that decided where on the car this logo would go. So again, we're sponsoring Brayton Laster in the number 06 Arca Menards car. He gave me a list of different spots we could put that logo on and have that voted on by the fans. These were the 4 spots that were up for the vote. So one of them was going to be the deck lid, kind of like the trunk area of the vehicle on the top area. We'd be one of the spots on there. Behind the numbers on both sides of the door. So that was the second option. The third option, the C pillar, that's kind of like the part where that back end connects on the vehicle right above, like where the rear tire area is, with the top and the middle part of the car kind of connect. It's the little pillar right there, the C pillar. And the final option was the back bumper. And this was a good vote. A lot of debate went into this, but we did have a clear winner on this as well. Um, and I will say, I know we talked through this, and so there's a little bit more information that we had afterwards as far as the vote goes. So as far as I do know, I think they still are planning on making the diecast for this car once they order or do the pre-orders and whatnot. We'll definitely share the information on that. But that was one of the things we found out is they're supposed to be doing a die cast of this car. So when you think about where the logo goes, that was one of the things that I think a lot of people thought about, that were familiar with this situation. So when you think about it, as far as the die cast, you're getting a full size die cast, the bigger one, the 124, not necessarily as important where you have that, I would say, kind of because you can display the car and see it from pretty much any angle. It's a bigger vehicle. Maybe the deck lid, I'd say, would be the one that might be a little bit harder to see, but regardless, on a larger scale model, that you should be able to see most of them. However, when you look at the smaller diecast, the 164 collectible, the little tiny kind of Hot Wheels sized ones, those ones are typically encased where you see the side of the vehicle, and because of that, the options I would say would be more heavily favored because of that are going to be the 2 on the side with the door number and the C pillar base. The other thing that was in the back of some people's mind was if this car got into the new NASCAR video game that was that's going to be coming out here in the next couple of months, which would be the coolest location for that. I think that pretty easily would be the back bumper because most people drive it from that third person point of view. Afterwards, we didn't know this until after, but afterwards did get discussed. So the base paint scheme of this car, the peerlesspumps.com, and the Peerless Paints in general, sponsor for Brayton Laster, that's going to be his main car scheme in the new NASCAR game. However, they scanned those cars all the way back in like February, March. So that means this car was not scanned back then. This car was obviously raced last week, so it would not have the Instigate logo on there. However, if there is an opening in the future for our car to, or for one of his cars to be in the game, as far as like an update, DLC, such and such, um, definitely we'll speak with him as far as trying to get ourselves on the bumper, because that would be a really cool opportunity to do. And like I said, most people run those cars from the third person point of view, so I think that would be pretty cool. But anyways, so after the fan vote, what we got was another vote over 50%. This one was in favor of the C pillar. And again, the C pillar and the door ones, both of those options would have had it on both sides of the car. So that could have also played a factor in there, having it on both sides of the car rather than just one side or the other. But regardless, so that's what we had as far as the winners. And then we had, go back to this graphic. So that was last Friday, July 25th. We were at the IRP racetrack, and we actually had our own display on the midway. So this was something that kind of came together a little bit later in our discussions, and it went and got finalized quite literally, I think, the day before. So Thursday we had everything finalized for that, got everything put together. So we were on the midway with like the big vendors and such. People like Liuna, SodaStream, and big sponsors that are on these cars and trucks. And actually, that was so we sponsored, or we were on the ARCA car, but there's big sponsors for the truck races, such as the ones that I just announced, that were quite literally right next to us in the same area as far as the vendor areas go. So that was a lot of fun. We'll jump into that here in just a few minutes. But that was a cool partnership to have with IRP, and to be out there and have an opportunity to meet a bunch of fans and interact with a lot of different sports fans, people that were out there for the races, that also share a passion for basketball, and kind of help spread the word as far as the Instigators go, and let people know that not too far away, about an hour away, less than an hour away, that there's a local professional basketball team in the ABA. So that was a lot of fun to share that. So let's jump to, I got some pictures of the cars, the final product of the car. So that, again, that was the fan voted design and location. So the night before, so Thursday night, we'll jump to that. Brayton actually had an event out, like a meet and greet, giving out some hero cards and other kind of cool stuff that they have for his race team at a local Menards store. So that's him at the Menards store with the car. So our car not only was featured at the track, it was also at a local Menards store. So you could go up and you could see our logo is right there on the car, on that C pillar. Pretty easy to see, actually. So a good choice for the fans and everyone involved. Great option. I definitely think that's an option we should explore again in the future, if we are going on the car. It looks like that came out pretty well. And then you can see a picture, an action shot there on the other side of him racing that car this past Friday out on the track. And actually, they raced again today, I think, out in Iowa. So again, out on the track, pretty much Friday nights are the most common nights for the ARCA racing. But cool to see our car not only on track at the raceway, but also at a local store, at the Menards there. to help spread the Instigators even further. But we got some, I think, closer up picture. So there's a closer up picture, and these pictures are from Brayton and the race team. So you can see there a pretty good sized Instigator sticker there on that C pillar, along as some of the other wonderful sponsors for Brayton and the race team. So pretty cool to see that. And I know one of the things that Corey had mentioned as far as what he was worried about having the red with the logo that was picked is going on the C pillar compared to the other car, the rest of the car. If you go back and see, most of it's blue or white, but the red there, you can pretty distinctively tell the difference between the two, and it doesn't really kind of break up the scheme too much either. So I think that was a great choice from everyone. Hopefully we can have another vote like that in the future. Don't know if it'll be this year, but maybe we'll do it again next year. As they do annually race at IRP. So might be something we'll do again in the future. But a lot of fun doing that fan vote. Something that not only us on the Instigator side wanted to do, something that Brayton also had mentioned as well, just in the discussions that we had as far as getting the logo on the car. And he was familiar with fan controlled racing and such, so we wanted to have an idea and a way to kind of have that fan voting experience in a way that we could both do that. Obviously, both of us are on smaller scale levels, whereas fan controlled racing was in the Xfinity series level, previously known as the Bush series. So a higher level, and they also had the full sponsorship on the vehicle. Um, so it's a little bit easier to run when you have the full wrap on the car, and when you're also in the higher level, there's a lot more money involved with that type of stuff. But for us and for Brayton and his race team on the Arcus side, it's both of us are kind of like the grassroots type of thing. Great partnership, and we were able to find a way to have the fans create a say and have their votes heard when it goes into having our logo on the car this time around. So that was pretty cool. Then we went out on Friday. So I flew in to Indy. I got up there and met Corey at the track. So we set up the tent there around 11-ish. We had to be up the tent and everything by around noon. And then we had the tent through close to 10 p.m. or so. So all the way through like the truck races. Um, but that was cool to do, to set that up, and got some pictures and a video from that. So let's go through that. So here's a picture just of the track. It's the first time I had ever been at the track. I think first time for Corey as well. But like I said, a wonderful local venue. It's a short track. It's about, I think, 0.65 or so of a mile. So a little bit more than a half mile, a little bit less than a quarter of a mile, or three-quarters of a mile. But a pretty cool track, and you could kind of see like there's like, I don't know necessarily call them, but they look like oil refineries in the background. They roll around there. You can also get really close. Like some tracks are pretty much like they've got the catch fence, and then several sections back are like where the fans sit and stand. But there's like a walkway pretty much right around the track that you can go around. So pretty cool to see it. It was cool. Anybody that goes to the races that takes pictures or photography and such and that, you can get really nice shots and go real close. But really nice venue there. And some fun racing to watch. So there's the ARCA series and the truck series. So we got to see both of those events as well. And this is quite literally from where our tent was. If you just walked backwards, straight up, there's like a little hill. This is literally once you got to the top of the hill, right there. Maybe 100 yards behind where we were actually it's probably not. It's maybe 50 yards behind where we were located as far as our tent goes. So our spot was a great spot, right by where the stands were as people walked into the event. And here we got to meet Brayton, so he got to stop out, check out the Instigators display that we had on set. Obviously he's there in the middle, the only one with the fire suit on. But a lot of fun, to meet him, have him meet some of the team as well. So, Coach was there, both, Coach Dobbs and Julio. So coach and the head coach and the assistant coach were there, as well as some of our guys that will be joining the team for the upcoming season. So he got to speak not only with us, myself and Corey, but also with coaches and players. And it was cool to see, the interactions between the guys and him, and kind of see the shared common ground that we all have, and what we can learn from each other. Obviously, there's a mutual respect from everybody involved. Us, being a professional basketball team, him being a professional race car driver. Some of the guys wanted to know some more details as far as what it's like to race, how you get into racing, all that type of stuff. One of the things he did share with us, and I'll have to reach out to him to get him on the stream here one of these nights for the podcast. But he did share with us, one of the guys asked was, how long have you been racing? I think that's a pretty natural question to ask anytime you meet somebody that is a professional race car driver. He has been racing, he told us, since he was 7. So he has been racing for 15 years now. That's crazy to think. Obviously you don't have a driver's license when you're 7, but 15 years of racing experience. This is his first time is a full season driver in the ARCA series. But obviously ARCA is kind of like the feeder series to NASCAR, so he hopes to continue to grow through the ARCA series and go up to the next levels. And he actually does have one NASCAR start under his belt on the truck series, just as a fun fact. So he is technically a NASCAR level driver. He has raced in a NASCAR event. But cool to hang out with him, cool to meet him. And I definitely don't think this is going to be the last time that we partner up with him. I wouldn't be uh, surprised if we might have him out at a game or so. So keep an eye out for something like that in the future. But I think it's also going to be the last time that we have our logo on one of his race cars. But cool to meet a guy that is, quite local to the area as well, familiar with the area, lives in the area, works in the area. So cool to finally have something like this come together. A lot of fun there. I think we got a couple more pictures. This was, like I said, we were at great location. We really, really can't complain at all about that. We had our, little stand there with the Instigators, logo, the Apex logo, the ABA logo, as well as the Be Great Instigate slogan. And we had a bunch of people taking pictures right in front of that. And then on the table there, we had some merchandise, and you can see a couple of chairs. That was really early before things were going on, so that's why it looks kind of empty there. But we were set up, like I said, right where the bleachers were. So the way the track is set up is the oval track's right behind us, and the bleachers, there's one area of bleachers, which is directly behind us. Then there's two kind of just like grass general admission areas, one to the left side of the bleachers, one to the right side of the bleachers, and then there's the infield area as well. But on the opposite side, so like what our view was across from us, was the drag strip. So the way IRP set up, they have the short track, and then right across from that is the drag strip. So IRP does not only do oval racing, they also do drag racing as well. And one of the other vendors, I think it was El Bandito Tequila. They do. There's also not only like cars that do drag racing. There's also motorcycles. So they drag race motorcycles. That was pretty cool to find out as well. Um, they go super fast, over 200 miles an hour on those. But it was cool. Like I said, that hill right there, if you walked up there, that was where the track was. That picture I showed was right from the top of that. But that was our setup. We had merchandise there that we were handing out to different fans that went past. And I think that's all the pictures I've got for that. But we've got a little minute clip that we did put together. If you haven't already seen it, I think it got posted over on our Facebook and Instagram. And then we also had a little bit of a shorter version, just a few seconds shorter, that did get put up as a YouTube short. So we'll run that real quick. And let's pull that up. And I'll pull myself from the screen so you guys can see it in full screen. I'll be right back after this video. All right. I disappeared. There we go. So welcome back. So we saw some pretty cool clips there. Lots of different interactions with fans. Um, and let's jump to this. So lots of fun there. You might have seen some players there. We'll make official announcements as far as signings here in the near future. But you may have seen some familiar faces. So if you're Instigators fan and you remember some of the guys from last year, you could have possibly seen some of them there. So put your minds together. You might be able to figure out some of the guys returning to the team and maybe some of the guys that may be joining the team as well. So a little bit of an exclusive insider access there. But regardless, a lot of fun there. Obviously, one of the things was we were talking with the guys that were coming, and I told everybody, I was like, hey, if somebody's got a basketball, how about we grab that, bring that to the table, and that one up being the one of the best things that we did have because it was the conversation starter. So we'd have some of our players would toss the ball to somebody walking past, see if they give had some skills or if they could do the where they spin the ball on their finger. If not, obviously we had some guys there to help out as well. But great conversation starter. When people are just walking past, anytime you've been to like a sporting event, anything like that, there's always vendors there. But when you're walking past, typically you're walking through not to necessarily stop at a vendor. It is to basically get in and go to the event that you're there for. So when you have interactions that are fun like that, that is something that helps start the conversations and make the interactions more positive and obviously in general, anytime you have something kind of fun going on, people start looking and start asking questions. So that was a cool thing to have and to do. Obviously, then you got some pictures with players, coaches, and a lot of people got some videos or pictures of them, spinning the ball on their finger, which is always a cool little thing to do and show off as well. But a lot of people also got some cool Instigators merchandise as well. So hopefully we see some of those people out at the Best Choice Fieldhouse for season 3 when that does come up here in the near future. But I definitely think we interacted with lots and lots of different people. Obviously in the three digits plus, I would say. I was at least in the hundreds of people that we interacted with, and handed out stuff too. So that was a lot of fun interacting with all those different people. Obviously it was our first time kind of doing this type of event, and I think not only will we get better in the future at doing this, but I think this is something that we'll continue to try to schedule to do in the future as well, after seeing the type of impact that it has, and the different numbers of people we were able to get in touch with. And one of the cool things I thought was, this is a racing event that we had done this for. So the ARCA race and the truck race, obviously kind of two of the feeder systems as far as like NASCAR level racing goes, oval racing. Um, but that's kind of like where it was, like I said, kind of similar, like to with us being in the ABA to partner with something like that. But still very high level of professional sports. And this one was nationally televised, so the racing for this was on FS1, Fox Sports 1. um, you know so big event there. And the commonalities, I think, though, is what I was saying, between the fans. They appreciate the drivers and the talent that it takes to do stock car racing, but also they appreciate kind of that hardworking mentality, kind of getting and growing yourself from these levels to try to make that next step. And I think a lot of people also appreciated that from our team as well. Having not only us, myself and Corey, two of the owners of the team there, as well as our coaches and some of the players, people that are quite literally on the team representing the team, interacting face to face with the community and fans. So definitely, I thought it was a great event there. I loved, being partnered with the track there. Obviously, I don't think that's going to be the last time we're out at IRP. So we got some stuff in discussions with them. Hopefully, we'll be back there sooner than later. And if we are, we'll make some more announcements, letting you guys know that. Hopefully, we'll give you a little bit more of a heads up this time. So if you are in the area and you want to come out, you can hang out and take part of these type of kind of cool pop-up events that we do have with the Instigators. um, but that was regardless, a really cool experience, something that, again, I hope, and I think a lot of the guys, after talking with them, this was a really cool experience, for everybody, because it's something where we kind of jump a little bit out of our comfort zones a little, with this being, we're a basketball team, but we're at a racing event. But just we got to meet so many cool people, interact with so many different people, fans. We also got to talk with a lot of different vendors there. So, just talking business to business as well. That's also a great opportunity there. And then obviously, um, the fan interaction is always going to be key. That's the whole driving point, driving factor with the Apex Athletic Collective and the Hoosier State Instigators. Always been, kind of the keystone as far as the whole entire Apex Athletic Collective goes, was giving that fan ownership level experience, and that is something we're continuing to grow, and hopefully with events like this we can continue to give those experiences to the public too. Then obviously being able to meet the driver in person. First time for any of us to meet Brayton, but a wonderful guy. Like I said, somebody we definitely want to continue to partner with, and hopefully, we'll see him, not only our logo on his car again, but hopefully we see him with the Instigators in the future again. So it'll be some fun stuff that we've got planned. We're working on, but I think this kind of event is also something that opens a lot of different doors too. So with the Apex, that's always been our goal, was not necessarily to just do basketball, but to kind of open the doors to sports ownership for fans, in the entirety, the whole entire idea of that. So I think this is one of those things that kind of helps us, kind of put feelers out and see where we could possibly have opportunities to do other stuff too. Obviously that's not to say we're not going to focus on the Instigators. That is our professional team. And we're going into season 3, so that is our team. That is our main priority. But like I said, we always try to continue to put those feelers out, see what other areas fans do enjoy, and where we continue to grow at. Obviously, we got amateur night right now is streaming with baseball, so that's another sport we're talking about. We've got the streams as well for dark web wrestling, so wrestling, and then obviously we've got the ballers too, the Oakland Ballers. But I think racing was one of the things we had discussed in the past. So maybe that could be an option in the future too. But anyways, that was a really cool event. A lot of fun. Something obviously that was the first time we've done that, and being able to reach out to the track and get all those things set up and everything set up. Everybody was amazing to deal with. Everybody at the track, Brayton and his team, and everybody at the event. Just a lot of fun, and so much fun to do, to be a part of and interact with. But definitely, I think a very, very memorable experience for all those that were there. Obviously for myself and for the rest of the team as well. But a lot of fun there. But like I said, Instigators, that's still our main priority going into season 3. If you didn't already see the other day, we did make another announcement as far as what we got coming up for season 3. So there was the final announcement, or final tryout announcement, for the Instigators. That is in 2 weeks. So actually, thinking about it, that'll be the day after our 100th episode, assuming that we have the other episode go according to plan as far as the time frame. But that'll be the day after our 100th episode. So August 16th at 1 p.m., we're going back to the Harrison Center in Indianapolis. $65 online if you register ahead of time. If you show up at the door and want to try out, $75. So save yourself that $10 sign up online. But this is the final Instigators tryout for the preseason for season 3. And like we said, we're trying to get this roster solidified so that way when we go into season, it is the final roster. We want to have that continuity throughout the season. We don't want the fluidity that we have had throughout the first 2 seasons. Obviously, last season I think was maybe a little bit more so on the player side. Obviously, the first season we had more of that on the coaching, but obviously when we get this roster set, we want to have that pretty much throughout the season. And that's starts with these tryouts. We have some guys already, like we said, you might have seen some of those players in the video there, but we still got some openings on the roster. That's what this final tryout is for us to do. So if you think you've got what it takes to be a Hoosier State Instigator, think you know somebody that may, feel free to sign up, show up at the door, try out, and see if you got what it takes. But this is our final tryouts. So if you miss this one, you're going to have to wait a whole year. So you don't want to do that. If you're even remotely thinking about it, this is it. Got to go show up, and show out and see if you got what it takes. I've already had maybe one person hit me up personally and ask about the tryout. So I'm not even in the area. I haven't even made it to a tryout myself, unfortunately. Still something on my bucket list to do, but there might be a celebrity depending on how their schedule lines up that had asked about possibly going to that. So it's a teaser. I don't know if it'll happen. Obviously, it is a long shot. But they did ask me about it and see and just verify, and I will let everyone know this. It is open to the public, so anybody. There is no restrictions. Anybody that wants to try out, take that back. There is one restriction. You have to be an adult. That's it. So 18 plus. That is the one restriction. You have to be an adult. But other than that, it is open to the public. Anybody that wants to show up and try out for the Instigators, be a professional basketball player, it's a pretty big title. You can go and sign up and lock your spot in for the tryouts online with the $10 discount, or you can show up at the door. Regardless, either way, August 16th, 1 p.m. at the Harrison Center in Indianapolis. It is the very last tryout for season 3 for the Hoosier State Instigators. Be sure that you show up for that if you are even remotely thinking about trying out. Um, and if you're pretty confident, definitely sign up ahead of time. Then you know you got yourself on the list already. But this is going to be it, the final shot. As famous rapper said, you got one shot, one opportunity. This is it. Go ahead and see what you can get. And this is it. But anyways, that is 2 weeks from now. So August 16th, 1 p.m. That is the big news for this week. Obviously last week we were catching up on the big news, but for this week, that was our big announcement. So a lot of cool things, a lot of big things happening with the Instigators, even though we are in off season. And then we've got the season coming up in 2 or so months now. So we got the calendar counting down now, and it is fun time to be an Instigators fan. Obviously, a lot of things to be excited about. And if you're excited and you want to go out to the games, it's not a bad time to remind you. You could get your season tickets, early bird season tickets, still up for right now. They're going to be taken down in a little bit, but still right now for the early bird season tickets, $49.99. It's half price, $50 for all of the home games. Also includes any tickets to playoff home games as well, including play-in games. But this is basically half price, like I said, compared to the $10 per game normally. This equates to about $5 a game, with 10 scheduled home games. We're supposed to have 20 games on the schedule, 10 home, 10 away. And then obviously any kind of playoff game, you get your free tickets for that by getting your season tickets. So your playoff tickets would be included in that for home playoff tickets, home playoff games, play-in games at the Best Choice Fieldhouse. And like I said, Best Choice Fieldhouse, wonderful venue. If you haven't already been out there, it is amazing. Front row seating available for everybody. And if you're somebody that wants to sit courtside, plenty of courtside seats. If you want to watch from the baselines, we also got baseline seats, and you can always walk around there too. If you do choose to do so, if you rather not have a seat, you can also. That is actually an option. You can do that too. But if you want to be the Instigator Spike Lee, definitely go ahead, sit courtside, dress up, and let the refs know about everything going on. But anyways, you got your early bird season tickets up still for a limited amount of time. But if you're even thinking about going to a few of the games, it's a great idea just to grab these early bird season tickets. That way you can lock yourself into any and all of the games that you do want to come out to. Again, with it being $50, if you're planning on going to 5 games, that's half of our home games. You might as well just buy this. That way you don't spend the $10 individually for each of the games. And then you've got free game, basically free, essentially free games that you can go to in addition, the other games. So that's just a reminder for right now. We still have the early bird season tickets up. But again, $49.99, limited time only. Once they go back to regular pricing, it will lock and they will stay regular pricing once we go to the regular season. And again, this might be some of your last opportunities to catch those exclusive early bird discounts. Um, but that's the news for the Instigators this week. I think Corey will be back next week. He could talk a little bit more about our experiences at the racetrack from last week. Obviously going to IRP. I'll also mention, because it's the first time I've been in Indiana several times, but it's the first time I had the tenderloin sandwich. I've been told numerous times that it is the state sandwich of Indiana. A pork tenderloin sandwich. It's like a giant fried tenderloin on a roll. But first time I did try that, and very good. So that was a good choice, a recommendation from Corey when we were watching the truck race. So that was, another first experience for me there up in Indiana. And actually, cool thing to note, if you don't already know this, as far as the Truck Series racing goes, Frankie Muniz is a Truck Series driver. And if you don't know who Frankie Muniz is, you might know him as Malcolm from Malcolm in the Middle. One of the most popular TV shows, I feel like, of maybe all time, at least in the 2000s. But Frankie Muniz of Malcolm in the Middle fame. He is a NASCAR Truck Series driver now. So pretty crazy to see that. Um, see him on the racetrack racing against people. But a fun event there that we were out at. Lots of fun. Like I said, I don't think that's going to be our last time doing stuff like that, and I look forward to doing that again. And I think I did say we'll put up some more details on like a Patreon post again, so exclusive for our Patreon members. I'll probably put some of the pictures and stuff up as well there to give a little bit more insight there and break down what we did. But anyways, again, we did that. Get your season tickets and then tryouts. Like I said, this is our final tryouts, your very last opportunity to join the Hoosier State Instigators before we go into season 3. So if you're thinking about it, don't think anymore. Just sign up now. That way you have a shot at getting onto the roster. But that is going to do it for tonight's episode 98 of Instigate Success, Building an ABA Franchise. Thank you as always for joining us tonight. A reminder, every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, we're streaming here live on Patreon, obviously. And I think we're over on the Instigators YouTube. And I know for sure we're there on the delay, but we also stream live on the Apex Athletic Collective Twitch. So anyway that you are watching this, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here, and keep an eye out for more Instigators news. If you don't already follow us on social medias, follow Instigators on everything: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and anywhere else you can find us. But that is all the news for tonight's episode. We should have some more stuff for you next week. And we look forward to that for episode 99, 2 away from 100. But thank you as always for joining us. Until next time, be great and instigate.